We're here with Andrew Fischl, aka Cyrus of Chaos. Andrew, with your videos, is it just a ploy to get everyone to stop recording themselves and you included, so that you got coverage of everyone else and not yourself?
No, it's not a ploy. I just try to get as much as I can. At this point, I have a reputation for being pretty thorough, so I go around and I film like everything that I see. If I'm sitting there watching it, I have my camera with me. It's actually in my pocket right now, and I will just, sit there and film it.
So apart from your Cyrus of Chaos personality, how about your fencing career? Tell us how you got into fencing and your path to where you are now.
So how I got into fencing, it was actually kind of silly. I was reading a lot of fantasy books, and I didn't really understand what was going on in like the sword fight scenes that they were writing about. So I actually started fencing so that I could learn to understand that a little bit more. And when I started with Misha Shimshovich at Island Fencing Academy, and I'd say I was with him for about a year. Then I switched to Mike Etropolsky, who was a pretty good fencer and didn't have any other students at the time, and I worked with him for about 2 years. Then when Mike was high enough to potentially make a team, I think he got as high as 4th and made a Pan Am team, and then didn't quite make Worlds. But during that season, when he was focusing more on his athletic career than on coaching, I started working by myself, and at that point, I actually found that I started getting my best results. So I continued working by myself without a coach, and I think I got as high as 6th in the country. But then I switched to Vasil Etropolsky because I liked the tactical aspect that he focused on so much. Vasil was actually a world champion himself in '83 in the open division, and for someone who is not coming from Italy or Russia or Hungary, that's actually really impressive. Bulgaria of all places. So I worked with him for like a year almost, but I didn't find that to be a good fit. I like Vasil a lot, I like what he does, but it just didn't work with what I was doing. So I went back to having no coach for about a year, and then after finding that technique was a real issue when I was fencing, I switched to Aldar Kogler, who is currently coaching at Columbia and I think has been coaching for the past 200 years or something. But yeah, he's very solid with technique, and that's something I've always struggled with. So I switched to him, and I'm currently in the adjustment period of that. But yeah, I like the direction my fencing is headed. So
when was it that you began kind of self-coaching yourself?
I think that was in 2010 that Mike stopped working with me so much as a coach, and we started doing like a little bit of like we became training partners and sort of like drilling together. But at that point, I really had to decide for myself what I wanted to focus on, which for me wasn't a big deal. I'm pretty much always aware of where I'm losing touches, where I'm winning touches, and I always have my own ideas of how to fix those things. So working without a coach for me wasn't actually that detrimental, because I always was focusing on something. I'm like in practice especially, I'm not focused on winning, I'm focused on like doing the thing that I feel would be better for my fencing in the future. And so I'd say it was about in 2010, and I did it for myself for about like a year and a half, before picking up a coach for about 6 to 8 months, maybe a year, and then another year without any coach at all. So.
And how long have you been with Aldar?
I've been with Aldar since April so about 8 months at this point.
Okay, so that pattern recognition that you mentioned, or that awareness of self, where do you pull that from, or where do you see that carrying over into other aspects of your life?
Well, I know that it's always a trait that I've had. I've always been pretty good at diagnosing what I've been doing wrong. I'd like to play a lot of like little iPod games, or I was a pretty strong, regionally, a pretty strong melee player back when it was like a very grassroots thing. And I think I actually have the world record in like 3 different iPod games, and I've maxed out the score in like a couple more of them. But it's just, I always know what it is that I could be doing better, and I know how to fix the problem, and I just find these little areas like how can I improve? Like I have the world record in Fruit Ninja, but I still have like at least 2 areas that I'm working on to improve and get like an even higher score. So I just do those things because I like them, and I really like seeing the progress that I'm making. So.
And is there anyone in the fencing world that you'd like to call out for any of these games in which you hold world records, or?
No, I love it when someone beats my record because it motivates me to work harder and beat my record again. So, like anyone who wants to try to beat a record, like please, by all means, beat my record so that I can beat it again. But
so no, definitely the competitive spirit coming through there.
Yeah, competitive spirit is very important. If you don't have something that you're working towards for like an internal reason, you're not gonna make it as far. So.
And as far as like the pattern recognition and the competitiveness, how do you see that carrying over into your fencing as far as like repeating things others are doing, or kind of trying your own thing?
Well, I've always been a firm believer in that if you are doing the same thing that everyone else is doing, you have to just be much better than them at that. And since I started so late, that was not really an option for me because everyone was already doing those things so well. I tried to work on things that were like a little more unconventional. So for the first few years of my fencing career, I actually tried very hard not to parry since I was very bad at it, and I found that it was like such a thin line to like take a parry and have them just disengage around it and lose the touch, versus pulling the person short and putting a little more effort in with your legs. Doesn't matter what line they're hitting to, at that point they're just going to miss you. You can put more work in to get an attack or something. So I try on purpose to not do the same things I see everyone else doing. And I think for that reason, I think that's one of the reasons that I was able to like improve so quickly from a later starting age than most people. But I don't know, maybe.
So going against the grain, that's very much a hipster fencer way, if you will.
Yeah, I'm a fencing hipster, I guess.
Excellent. All right, anything else you'd like to share with fans and viewers? Competitors?
No, nothing I can think of right now.
All right, well, Cyrus of Chaos, thank you very much. We look forward to more of your content.
Yeah, thank you. You're welcome.